Well, hello there, YouTube. How you doing? We're filming a video today, about how to draw faces. How I draw faces, basically. Fair warning, I have never really taught before, properly. So this is going to be an interesting experience, I guess, for all of us. But I figured I'd include my webcam so I can at least, like, you know, look to you and talk to you. But feel free to draw along. And we'll see where this goes. But I wanted to kind of film a quickish video about how I start faces. And I'm going to work on male and female faces, basically. So we're going to start with that. Or I should say feminine and masculine faces. To be a little bit more politically correct. And, you know, shout out to my non-binary friends as well. All right, so usually, and for sake of just my own brain, I'm gonna say male and female. But I mean feminine and masculine. Just bear with me here, guys. I'm doing my best. Okay, so I work in Clip Studio Paint EX. You don't have to get EX. I use Ray Frendon's brushes. They're amazing. And I love sketching with his pencil brushes because they're honestly fantastic. It just has this really cool feel to them, and I also use his brushes for shading and all that, so I highly recommend. As someone who used to use Paint Tool Sai, I skipped over to Clip Studio when Photoshop was a little bit too expensive for me at the time. I didn't really like their subscription model. Oh, computer's making noises. And yeah, I just like drawing on this more. I still use Photoshop for like cleaning up things and doing my comic. But for basic sketching, I usually use this or Procreate on my iPad. I also use this on my iPad as well. So I really, really like this program. All right, so for feminine faces, I usually start with a circle and I break it down into halves. Now this line is going down here. This is this part of your face, right? And then this line is usually the eye line, or where I want the eyes to be. And so where they intersect is usually where I put a nose. And that's where I have like the bridge of the nose, and then kind of like a little, I'm gonna draw the shapes underneath it, but like a little triangle shape. So instead of a triangle, it's more of like a, you know, like a diamond. And then from the diamond, you kind of bring out the nostrils. You got the little sides there that come in, and then you can shape it however you want. Obviously, there's different ways to go about doing noses, but that's kind of like an easy go-to way to make one. And you're going to see that on the other side as well. So like if you do a side profile, you're going to have that kind of shape going on. And you can change that and morph it and obviously look to real noses, go from there. But I do a little nose, and then because she's going to be looking straight forward, I usually bring the eyebrows out and they kind of frame the face. Now I have seen artist tips, and occasionally I use this too, where they build a mask of where the eyes are going to be. Kind of like a superhero mask. And the eyes are going to fall somewhere inside here. And this is just to kind of, the eyes and eyebrows basically, just to kind of keep it all in one spot. And so what I do here is I start building up the tops of the eyes and kind of getting the shape of the bottom. We're just doing a very neutral expression. She's facing a little bit that way, and that's just because I'm bad at drawing things straight on. So that's my life. So we're going to have her looking that way as well. And I add sometimes like little eyelids, and occasionally I add little cat eyes or just eyelashes. There's all different ways to go about it. Follow your truth, basically. I'm going to zoom in a bit more for you guys. I usually work pretty small, so I'll try to zoom in a bit more. And then about a tiny bit below here, I try to leave, by the way, like an eye space in between. So like the size of this and this is the in-between spot. And then down here is where I will do just a mouth. And the great thing about digital is you can move it up, you can move it down, you can kind of do whatever. Do a little underlip for that mouth. And now that we have this, I realize that there's always a little bit extra on here. I tend to over exaggerate and then work smaller. So I cut a lot of this out. So what we're going to do here is kind of cut into here. And we're going to draw the face. Now, mind you, I always kind of sculpt out where the cheekbones and where the eyes are, because this bit, you turn your head, you can kind of see exactly where this is, and there's usually cheekbones right underneath it, depending on your character's face. And I also sculpt out the cheekbones on the other side, knowing that this line isn't really going to be there, but that's more of like a shadow line, right? So you'll see more of this kind of going on here on this side, and then you'll see, if you follow my cheekbones, you see a line and it cuts down, and then I have a jawbone. Of course I choose today to pick a wig to wear to cover up my face, but I just really like this wig, okay? So then yeah, I've kind of sculpted that out. So now she's looking more sideways, honestly, so my shape should be more like this. More of a this shape as opposed to a this shape. And then I add the ear at about eye height. And then from here, I make a little line for the hairline. And I still continue that up and around. Give her a skull, you know. And then, you know, bring a neck down. And there was a thing that I learned where if you want to show, like, toughness and thickness, especially with men, more masculine type faces, you make the neck wider. But if you want to be more delicate and feminine, you do it inside. Again, just guidelines for basic characters. Like, if you want to get that look great. The neck is really going to change a lot, especially depending on the weight of your character, how they look, all that other stuff. It's a really cool thing to mess with as well. So if she is a heavier character, we give her a thicker neck. Thinner neck, you know, that kind of thing. It does connect in the back here as well. Not so much from that angle, but I'm kind of over-exaggerating it. And you've got these little guys that come down. And that goes into the collarbone, and then you can, like, build up the chest from there. So, hair. We'll go with her hair. So what I usually do is I figure out what I want. So we're going to give her some side bangs for this. So I'm going to start these out this way. And I just work in chunks. So I work in shapes like this. And I just do that kind of pattern. And I bring it all around. Depending on the different kind of hairstyles. Obviously, if you're going for different kind of hair, you're going to do different shapes. So like if you can do curls and like little shapes, little ringlets. You can do straight hair is going to have a lot more thin parts and be a little bit more delicate. I'm kind of going for that like chunky texturized look for this. Just because it's a little bit easier. It's kind of got that like Overwatch vibe to it. And we'll give her a shaved side bit, which I just texturize by doing little lines like that. And we'll give her a little shaved side. So yeah, so that's kind of like the basic way how I draw a female face. Feminine face. Now, for men, for some reason, and masculine faces, I always start with a square. And I don't know why, and I think it's just because I want more of a rigid shape to it. I'm going to try to draw this one straight on. So following the same principles, I've got 2 lines now instead of just one. So this is kind of like where the eye mask would be. So I've got that going on here. And where the middle bit is where the nose is. We're going to do face, the mouth. I draw masculine eyebrows a lot thicker. Again, this is just basic, but like, you know, just a bit harder on the character design if I'm just drawing, you know, generic dude number 1, you know what I mean? Kind of draw the eyes in. Again with the same stuff as the first one. But now, when I go to draw the face, I'm going to draw his hairline really quick. When I go to draw the face, I'm going to make it a lot more angular. So I'm going to bring it down. And there's always, you know, masculine men with like, you know, more rounder faces. There's always going to be variation. This is just how I draw most of the men that I tend to draw. Anyway, so what I do is I kind of come down from the cheeks and I do this line. So there's a little this shape. Same kind of thing with over here with the cheek. I'm going to go like this and kind of bring it down to a chin. Now here you can change around the jawline, but we're going to go with a pretty classic strong jawline. So you get this kind of shape. So when you start shading it, depending on where the light's coming from, let's say it's coming from this way, you're going to shade it, you know, like this, and this will be lit up. And you probably won't have these lines there. But for shading, you know what to do. And yeah, so we go like that. And I kind of do the same thing, you know, I put the ears in. And kind of like if you're going for more masculine, I just make the features a little bit stronger, a little bit more angular. Again, can work really well for feminine characters too, if you're trying to like prove a point. I make the eyes slightly smaller compared to, you know, that. It's just stuff that I learned from, you know, like Disney films and stuff. The larger the eyes, the older the character, smaller the eyes, the larger the eyes, the younger the character, the smaller the eyes, they make them look a bit older, a bit more masculine. So it's an interesting thing to play with, and you can definitely, when you're designing characters, play back and forth with those things, like what happens. Like, I guess larger eyes kind of are more innocent. There's a lot of things ingrained in here that I don't feel like tapping on, so we're just gonna stick to the surface level, all right? Okay. And I'm just gonna give him some simple hair. Again, just doing the same kind of shapes. Let's give him just like a long top, short sides, like every dude has everywhere. So yeah, he's kind of got that thing going on. Again, just doing these kind of shapes. Just feeling it. Seeing where it goes. And like building off of it too. It can be actually really soothing to do that. His nose is all there. And then for the neck, again, making it a bit thicker, depending on how you want to go with this. I'm making this a thick boy. And then, obviously, you know, go into, like, muscle and anatomy and all that. But, you know, go from there. So, kind of basic feminine face, basic masculine face. That's kind of how I do it. Now, obviously, there's variations on all of it. Another thing I like to do before I kind of, like, finish up. I don't know. I'm tired, guys. I've been working all day. Finish up this this video is a little trick I do, and a trick I learned. So when I am loosely sketching and doing gesture drawings and I don't really know, I don't go right into the detail. I make these loose kind of things and I almost feel out the vibe I want. So if I want someone looking up, I make these lines, and these lines say a lot for me. That means, okay, the character's looking up, and I know that, like, okay, the nose is going to be, like, here, and the mouth is going to be, like, here. And then we'll have the eyes looking up. I guess this person's just like looking up at this dude. They're very thirsty. But, you know, so you can move around the faces based on this. And don't worry too much about anatomy, because when you do stuff like this, you're going to get a really good loose vibe from it, right? You're going to have more feeling in the sketch than if you are going right in with detail. And then what you can do later is make another layer, go over it, start editing it, but don't get hung up on the details yet. Try to capture the feeling first. So we'll do another one where they're looking down. And I also saw another, actually, I'll use this as an example. Another artist that I follow, Makani, she had a really good thing where she uses these lines to, like, kind of show where the eyebrows and stuff goes, and, like, uses that. So we'll see if we can do that, but, like, we'll use that. So we're going to make the eyebrow like this. And we're going to give him like a grumpy look, you know? Grumpy but quizzical. And a bit of a pout. Right? And it's okay to exaggerate as well. I think that's why people who study animation, which I haven't, and I would love to study it, not to get into it, but just to study it for just how characters look. I think they have a lot looser, like you can tell someone's had a background in animation because a lot of their art is loose in like, in the best way, you know, it's got a lot of feeling to it. So this kind of goes into gesture drawings, but it's just for like faces and stuff, but I'm gonna make this person all huffy. And very closed off. So, like, body language is really important as well. Obviously, this is going into more than, like, a face. But, like, this is a hot mess of scribbles, but you can tell it's someone, like, you know, someone who's upset. So don't be afraid to be loose and just enjoy where it goes. And see what you see. I know this sounds weird, but, like, see what kind of vibe that your circles make. I know that sounds crazy, but just doing these can show like a lot of emotion, and I think it's a fun practice. It's kind of like when people draw beans and they use them for torsos, so they just draw like shapes and then they kind of build off of them. Oh, you can't see, sorry. And then you build off of them like doing these little bean guys, and they're using them for like torsos instead, and you see like, okay, I can like do a whole pose. Little things that just kind of trick your brain into just being a little bit more loose with stuff. Even if it is, you know, simple. You can always go back over and add detail later. And you can always redraw things. Even if you're drawing on, you know, pencil, paper, you can always go back and redraw it. And the thing is if you have to redraw it, like, don't be discouraged. If you have to redraw it, it's gonna be better. And I know that sounds crazy. I used to draw and be like, oh, I messed this up. I'm never gonna draw this good again. No, you're gonna learn and you're gonna improve. And every time you redraw something and redraw it, you're gonna get better at it. Trust me. The trick is to just enjoy the process. Keep it loose, keep it fun, you know. See what comes out of it. And eventually you can just start doing, excuse me, doing some of these and then just like seeing where it goes. I've got a lot of grumpy faces right now. I think that's telling me something. Anyway, I do, yeah, rounder shapes for women and more square for men. Again, I don't really know why. I think it's just because the angular dudes that I tend to find myself attracted towards. And yeah, don't be afraid to squash and stretch, technical terms, details, or just get something out there that's loose, you know? Because even with like hands or whatever, like this shows a whole emotion, right? You can work off of that. You can make something out of that. Everyone I draw is grumpy. Anyway, guys, I know this was a shorter, different form kind of video. There's not any real editing in this, but I hope you guys enjoyed this. I stream on Twitch Mondays through Fridays starting at 10 a.m. Pacific time. So if you want to come hang out, you are more than welcome to. I do it live and I talk with everyone. Sometimes they're art streams, sometimes they're video game streams. But if you like this content, please like and subscribe. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you know whenever I post a new video. I'm trying to post new videos every Thursday. That being said, if you have any videos or tutorials or things that you want me to explain how I draw them, I will try to do it to the best of my ability. But leave a comment below and let me know what you want to see. Thank you guys so much. I really, really appreciate all the love so far on this return to YouTube. So I hope you guys have a wonderful one, and I will see you next week. Bye.